I would like to thank Jamal Ross for sending me this story that is coming out of Jackson, Mississippi. And let me just say that this guy looks every bit of like the Blob from X-Men and Clayman from Batman and Dan Aykroyd from Ghostbusters. He looks like he's a combination of things. But anyway, this man's name is William Brewer, and he was a sheriff, and he was bribed into sheltering a drug dealer for 15 years, meaning this person was paid under the table to give solace to a person that should have been in jail. Let me go ahead and read this story. It says, federal authorities say a Mississippi sheriff gave protection for years to a drug dealer who robbed other dealers and kicked back stolen money and drug profits to the lawman. The illegal partnership began about 15 years ago when Tallahatchie County Sheriff William Brewer, who resigned Tuesday, began helping a then teenage drug dealer, federal officials gave alleged in a sworn statement. They said the unnamed dealer robbed other dealers of drugs and money, giving stolen money and proceeds from drug sales to the sheriff to the rural Mississippi Delta County about 80 miles south of Memphis, Tennessee. The scheme began to collapse on June 12th when the FBI says it persuaded the dealer to become a confidential informant. The FBI arrested the 58-year-old Brewer on Friday, charging him with conspiracy to sell drugs and extortion. Defense lawyer Kevin Horan declined to comment Tuesday on Brewer's guilt or innocence. That's what they claim. That's all I can say. After spending the weekend in jail, Brewer resigned as sheriff ahead of a Tuesday court appearance. Tallahatchie County supervisors will appoint a replacement to serve until the 2019 general election. Horan said Brewer resigned because it would have been too messy for him to remain as sheriff on a 16,000-person county, and because it smoothed the way for prosecutors to agree to his release after a weekend in jail. Under the circumstances, he thought it was the best interest of the county and his best interest. U.S. Magistrate Judge Roy Percy released Brewer on a $25,000 bail, ordering him to remain at home except for work, school, religious services, medical visits, or court business. Horan said Brewer will await a federal grand jury's decision on whether to indict him. If convicted on current charges, Brewer faces up to 40 years in prison. The arrest could end what the FBI says is Brewer's long criminal career. The sworn statement says the informant estimates he robbed drug dealers at least 50 times over the years, taking and later selling methamphetamine and various forms of cocaine. The informant told the FBI that Brewer continued to shelter his illegal activities when he found a few years ago that the informant had gone into a more traditional form of drug dealing, selling meth bought from illegal suppliers. The FBI says that during this stage of the relationship, the informant was paying Brewer $500 to $600 every 2 weeks from his drug dealing profits. One more than one occasion, Brewer warned the informant to proceed with caution while conducting illegal activity due to presence of local, state, and or federal law enforcement. Once the informant was working for the FBI, he planned one last deal with agents listening in. The FBI alleges the informant told Brewer of a fictional plan to rob someone of 9 to 10 kilograms of methamphetamine, discussing the plan with Brewer in person and recorded telephone calls in late June. At the FBI's direction, after falsely claiming he had completed the robbery, the informant paid Brewer $10,000 in cash bribes. The FBI says the informant made 3 trips to Brewer's house in Oakland between June 21st and July 26th, each time leaving FBI photographed $10, $20, and $100 bills in a bucket in Brewer's barn at the sheriff's direction. It was alleged that during the informant's final conversation, he told the sheriff that he had sold all the bricks of methamphetamine he had stolen and had nothing left. The FBI agent says Brewer responded by encouraging an informant to continue selling methamphetamine and warning him to be careful with who he was dealing with. The FBI arrested Brewer 15 days later. An earlier version of the story has been corrected to show the informant paid $10,000 in FBI tracked bribes, not $7,500. So basically, like I said, this guy was paying someone in order for him to stay out of jail so he could make money off of his drug deals. So that means to me, he must have been watching this guy for a long time. And this is someone he had a run-in with years ago. He saw the money he was making and he said, I'll give you shelter if you pay me under the table out of the profits that you're making. It says $500 to $600 every 2 weeks. So we're talking about $1,000 to $1,200 every month for 15 years. Now, this is money that's outside of the money he was making as sheriff, and it's non-tax deductible. And the one that he had on his belt for 15 years is the one that caused his ass to get arrested. Isn't that some shit right there? That's funny. That's crazy. But they need to throw the entire book at his ass. And like I said, that's why I say these police departments are very shady. I don't trust none of them. They're all filthy. They're all dirty. And pretty much almost all of them are crooked unless they're willing to blow the whistle. If they're not going to do that, then they're just competent with whatever people like him would do. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. The links to the PayPal and Patreon are down below. I'll talk to you in the next one.